Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and we are here at the Gideon Optics booth at SHOT Show 2025 with my friend Mike Branson of Gideon Optics. I know we did a bunch of videos at last year's SHOT Show, and I know a lot of you guys really appreciated Mike's insight and you're kind of your no bullshit style, talking about how things really are. So we are back here, and I thought today, Mike, we should talk about reticle design. There's a lot of different choices, and I wonder what's out there because people want to offer something and what actually makes sense in reticles.
Yeah, wow. So yeah, like we have time for like an hour-long YouTube video.
Yes, we do.
Sweet. So reticles, let's talk reticles. So if we're going to do a clunky mic analogy, I would say your if we're going to make an analogy to cars, my gun is my car. The scope that I've got on my gun is like the tires of my car. Because that's where the rubber meets the road and where the aiming part happens, where I have to hit things. So your sighting system is like the tires on your car. The reticle is like, now we're getting into the weeds. The reticle is like the tread pattern on the tires of the car. But it does matter, right? I can have a really awesome $2 million Ferrari, but if I put the wrong tires on it, if I put big knobby 4x4 tires on it, it's not going to do Ferrari stuff very well, right?
Right.
So we already have sort of a sense of what scopes go with what guns to start with, right? So here I've got a PCC, AK PCC in 9mm. This is short, it's light, it's in 9mm, so it has a red dot on it. This is our granite comp. It's a big window, comes with a little adapter plate to put it on here. Big window, red dot. This makes sense for this gun. We've got something that's fast, it's easy to acquire. I can shoot with both eyes open up close, right? If I had this gun, but I put on instead a 5 to 25 precision scope on a 9mm PCC, I've mismatched my tires with my car. Now I've got a Ferrari with 4x4 swamp tires on it.
Right.
And it's not going to be very good at the stuff that Ferraris is supposed to do. So I've lost my ability to shoot fast up close. I've gained an ability to be precise, but how precise do I need with a 9mm PCC carbine, right? And it's the same thing as this. I've got this giant, heavy, 20-inch precision AR. If I just put a red dot on it, I'm maybe good out to 200 or 300 yards at best.
At best,
with
yeah.
a red dot with no magnification, and I've wasted the potential of this really nice precision rifle because I didn't put the right kind of scope on it. So that continuing on applies greatly to reticles, but it's so in the weeds we get to a point of diminishing returns where we start getting more personal preference and a lot more inertia of, well, this is the way that I was taught and this is the way that my instructor says is best, and that's why I think the reticles are a little bit more of a mess.
Okay.
And we have more variety now than ever. Just within Gideon Optics, we've got like a pile of reticles that you can choose from just in red dots. There's, well, our new one, this guy here, will show. This is launching today. By the time you see this video, it'll have already launched. This is a tiny little RMSC enclosed emitter dot and has 3 reticles in it. You can choose. Do I want a 3 MOA dot? Do I want a circle dot? Do I want the circle without the dot? I just hold the brightness up button on this tiny little thing that's, I mean, like the size of my thumb.
Yeah.
And we already have 3 reticles we can select, and other companies have products that have even more reticles to choose from. So how do I know which one's right for me, right? If I buy this scope and I'm trying to get the right tread pattern on my car, how do I know which one is really the best?
I mean, by the analogy you're using, I'm tempted to say maybe it doesn't really matter.
Well, at a certain level, you're right. So like, you put me in the $2 million Ferrari, I'm still like, I drive like a muscle car most of the time. I'm not going to be able to push that car to its full potential, right? And so you'll see people that are experts talking to experts, and they think that the expert thing applies to everybody. I think, for example, like Aimpoint is like that, right? Where they only want to do a dot.
I have it on direct authority from Aimpoint that the only reticle you want in a red dot is a single red dot in the middle. And essentially, if that doesn't work for you, you need to practice more.
Right. And that's okay. Like, I'm not going to take a huge issue with that. But at the level that we're at, we're more interested in, instead of telling the customer, you should think the way that I think and you should trust me because I'm an expert, I just kind of make what the customer wants. And I'm like, oh, you want one in green? Cool. I like green too. Green's cool. Oh, you want a circle dot instead of just the dot? Oh, will you spend money on it? Yeah. Okay, we can do that. And I have my own opinions on, for example, I would say a circle dot reticle can be better for new shooters with pistols. If you're just shooting a pistol for the first time with a dot and your presentation isn't consistent every time, and you do the whole thing where you sort of throw the gun out there and then you're swirling it around, oh, there it is, right? And you're struggling with finding the dot. The circle dot reticle gives you more information. You can see a corner of that reticle. If you miss your presentation by a little bit, you can fix it. You can still shoot. It's like training wheels, right? Aimpoint guys aren't really interested in doing training wheels because we're the optic of professionals. Professionals buy our stuff. And by the time you're a professional, you've already shot the 60,000 rounds in practice that it takes to be an expert. So we're selling to experts. We are the experts. Of course, they're gonna say that their way is the best. I'm not necessarily selling to experts. I'm selling to newbies. If you have not shot a dot before, please give us a chance, right? So
Now,
yeah,
there's a level at a certain point, just because people want it, maybe it's a bad idea that
right.
seems like a good idea, and maybe it's better not to offer something if you know it's not a good idea. And the thing that I haven't quite understood, like I get dot, I get circle dot.
Yeah.
I don't quite, for a pistol, I don't get just circle. Like I could see it if I'm putting this thing on a shotgun maybe,
Yeah.
but is there a good justification for just a circle?
Yeah, so actually we've got a video playing over there. It's hilarious. I had no idea you were going to bring that up. There's a video on the screen over there, and one of the things that we're playing in the videos is a demo where I do just the circle without the dot in it. And I thought I would hate it, and I don't. My friend John Coria of Active Self Protection, he does just the ring circle with no dot, and he swears by it. He's like, oh yeah, all my HKs are set up this way, and he's sponsored HK Shooter and everything, and he loves the ring, the donut. And for him, and for other people, the information that he wants, the optics or the sighting system is coordinating with you to ensure that your alignment is correct such that your round will hit the target, right? What does the sight do? It's an alignment confirmation device. I now confirm that my firearm is aligned correctly for what I need to do. What information do I need to do to make that decision? For him, he likes the circle, and he just puts whatever he wants inside the circle so he can still see the thing he wants to hit.
Okay.
There's a circle around it. Cool, I'm breaking off shots. Here we go. And it works for him. Other people hate it.
Okay.
Right? And I tried it and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to adopt this and do it like he does, but I get it. And but you're right. There are some things that people might ask for, and I hesitate to say like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to be that guy. Like, oh, I'm the expert here. You don't want to talk about. But there are some things that I would say fall into the category of gimmicks, and I never want to be known as putting a gimmicky product on the market. So there is like a point of diminishing returns where there might be something that's all the rage, and people ask me to do weird colors sometimes. Like, dude, you should do a purple one, do a blue dot, and I'm like, I'm not really sure what the advantages to that. I can give you the advantages of green, which are better battery life, better for astigmatism in some people's eyes. I think it pops a little bit better, and so forth and so on. But I can't give you the advantages of blue, so I'm not going to do it.
Is it green that's better, that's usable for colorblind people?
No, unfortunately, both red and green are kind of bad for the colorblind guys, which stinks. Amber would be the way to go if we could get emitters that emit nicely in amber. The problem is that there's so much stuff out in the world that is sort of brown that it tends to wash out if it's not crazy bright, and the emitters aren't crazy bright. So that's the issue with amber. I'd love to make amber dots for colorblind guys, but our tech can't meet the dream yet, right? But there's an idea out there. But I've got guys tell me both the red and the greens kind of looks like mud to them, and it's not a great contrast, so they really struggle with that. Okay. And that's one of those things where, hey, I'm here to sell you a dot, but if that's your issue and you can't get good target contrast with our dots, I'm very sorry. Maybe you just need to be an iron sight guy for now until the tech catches up with your eyeballs. And I'm that honest guy, right? Like, I'm willing to say that. Maybe not everybody has to have a pistol dot on their pistol, right?
On a carbine, you could at least go to a Prism sight.
Yes. Oh, and I'm such a huge fan of the Prisms. You know, I've got one on my rusty old AK here. Whoa, hello. This is our Advocate 1X, and I love it. And talking about reticles again, let's talk about reticle design, thickness versus thinness. Again, it's a question of what information do I need to make the shot that I want to make. So this AK, I've made 400-yard shots with it, but it's not very good at that. It's probably like a 200-yard gun. Inside 200 yards, I want a big, bold reticle that's in my face, that gives me a lot of information quickly and goes, hey, dummy, bullet, go here, right? I don't need a fine reticle with a Christmas tree and the wind holds and all of that stuff. For this AK, it's not that accurate. It looks cool, but it's like a 5 or 6 MOA gun, right?
You're not getting a lot of wind holds on a 200-yard shot, regardless.
You're right, right. So I've got a 1X on here, and I love it, and I use it to shoot within 200 yards, fast and furious. You know, I can burn down, you know, target arrays with it. I can burn down steel with it, and it's super fun. And so I want something that's a fast reticle for this, right? This reticle would be terrible if I put it in, again,
That guy.
this guy. The same reticle that's in the 1X Prism would be a disaster in this scope. This is my 6, 7, 8, 900-yard scope. I need the Christmas tree. I need mils of holdover. Or if I want to do the other kind of math, I need MOA of holdover. And then we have an argument about which kind of math system is the best, right? And that's kind of like 9mm versus 45. We can argue that all night on which is mil and which is MOA and which is better. And that's one of those personal preference things. Whichever one you were taught, you probably think is the superior system. This is a very, very fine reticle, so it's slow to acquire. But I'm not shooting this, you know, in CQB with making snap. That's goofy. That's not what this rifle's for, right? So reticles are about getting me the information that I need to make the shot that I want to make in the least amount of time with the highest amount of precision.
So what do you do for a reticle for an LPVO that's like a 1 to 8, where I want to do both? I want to make a shot at 700 yards, and then I have a target array at 5.
Right, right. So again, with the car analogy, you have specialized equipment. Like your Formula One car is a race car and it goes crazy fast, but it can't do off-road worth a darn. And you have an off-road 4x4, you know, F-150 Raptor, pretty cool truck, but it's not as fast as the F1 car, right? So they do different things. So LPVOs in general are that jack of all trades, master of none. They all have disadvantages. They're not the best at anything, but if you don't know what kind of shooting you're going to do today, and you just got to go out into the field and whatever's going to happen is going to happen, you might bring an LPVO, because I can't bring 5 different guns with me. You know, I have to bring one rifle, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen if I deploy with it or whatever. That's why I like LPVOs, because they're not the best at anything, but they're good enough for everything. So the problem with like a first focal plane LPVO generally is that the reticle disappears at 1X, and it gets really hard to find, and it's super slow. And then at 8X or 10X or whatever, it gets easier to see, and now I have the information that I need. And they tend to be better at high magnification than low magnification. There's different methods to combat that. So like in your really high end, your Night Force attackers, your Vortex Razor Gen 3s, you have that diffractive reticle illumination, which we don't have in a $400 LPVO. You got to spend a couple grand to get into one of those, right? Primary Arms has made some strides recently where there's stuff come out. Shout out to my PA guys. They have got really good illumination for the money, but you're still going to pay for illumination. And what you do is when you crank it to 1 and that reticle disappears, you run it like a red dot. You crank the illumination up to the brightest that it can, and you use that sort of as a crutch because your reticle disappeared. I did a reticle for us last year in 2024. I can give you some B-roll footage on it. It's busy at 8X. It's got a lot of information. There's a lot going on. And when it's at 8X, there's all this stuff going on in there. And you're like, oh, what is all this for? I did that so you could see it at 1X without needing $2,000 illumination technology. The disadvantage is that it's busy at 8X. If you don't like how busy it is at 8X, you're not going to like my reticle. But I will say this, guys. Like, in this give and take game of optics, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Everything has an advantage and everything has a disadvantage. And if you're talking to someone about their scope and they can't tell you what the disadvantage of their scope is, they're snowballing you. I can tell you what the disadvantage is in certain situations of all of our scopes. There's a situation where all of these scopes are no good, and there's a situation where all of these scopes excel. If you're talking with someone and they're like, oh no, my scope's perfect. It's perfect for everything.
It's equally great at
It's
1,
equally
4,
great at,
and 8.
oh yeah, fantastic. You're going to love it. It does everything perfect. That guy's a shyster. Don't listen to that guy. He's lying to you. You got to be honest about what the limitations are, right? So my 1:8 scope, I've got it on a Hellion bullpup. I've taken it out to 600 yards, and it did great on a bullpup rifle at 600 yards. I throw it to 1x, I can still see it at 1x, and I could do like door kicking, CQB, barricade work type stuff with that same rifle. I think that's pretty cool. Some people don't like bullpups, but I love that one. So that flexibility is neat, but it's never perfect. Yes, the reticle is really busy at 8 power. Oh well, I did the best I could. Yeah.
It's never going to be as fast as a red dot at 1, and it's never going to be as precise or as clear as that thing at 8 or whatever the maximum is.
Right. And and then of course it's just one piece in the puzzle, right? So like an LPVO, almost all of them have a fixed parallax. So no matter how good the glass is, oh, I got a $3,000 LPVO, it's fantastic. Yeah, but if you're shooting at 700 yards with it, your parallax setting's off by a factor of 7.
Oops.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. It's just off, and you have to send the bullet and do the best you can. But it's set for 100 yards of the factory. Something like this. Oh, cool. Adjustable parallax. Nice. That sure comes in handy at 700 yards. But putting this on a 1:8, I've asked about it, and the guys that really have engineering degrees tell me it wouldn't really do that much. You could twist and turn the knob, but the effect inside the scope wouldn't be enough to make it worth the squeeze, worth the extra weight, worth the extra cost. So I'm like, it'd be really nice if I could have an adjustable parallax LPVO, but nah, it's not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but in reticles, if you're looking for a reticle, you're trying to figure out what reticle's right for you. Think about what kind of shooting am I doing? Am I doing Fast and Furious up close? Am I burning down stuff rapid fire? Or am I never going to shoot this gun from the shoulder because it's too big and it weighs too much, and it's always going to be shot off of a bipod or off of a rest, and I have more time, but I want to get one-shot hits at 700 yards. Okay, think about that first, and then the task drives the hardware, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, any other questions? I think that pretty much covers it from my end.
All right. I think that was quite good. Thank you once again for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Ian.
Mike Branson, Gideon Optics. If you guys enjoyed the video, check out their lineup. Every year you have more and more variety of stuff. You've got a couple things being released here at SHOT Show this year.
Yeah, we've got a couple things. This little guy here, we're super proud of. Valor Mini, he goes straight to RMSC or Holosun K. You don't need an adapter plate, so that saves you $100 right there. One less failure point. Fully enclosed emitter, great battery life, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. It's in the $300 range for this thing at MSRP, and it'll be less on street price. Lifetime warranty. The future is direct mount, skip the plate. The future is enclosed emitter, in my opinion.
I concur.
Skip the plates, let's direct mount the stuff, and let's seal it up if we can. Yeah.
All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.